Stop proving yourself. Stay quiet. Keep building.
Part 1. The Wise Father, the Foolish Son. Once upon a time, in a flourishing ancient kingdom, there was a royal advisor known for his unmatched wisdom. The king trusted him deeply, and the people revered him as a sage. But as it often happens with greatness, envy followed him. Other officials whispered, criticized, and looked for cracks in his flawless image. One day the king said to him, "You are wise, no doubt, but your son, he is a fool." The advisor paused, then calmly asked, "May I ask your majesty, what makes you say that?" The king replied, "Every morning when I walk through the marketplace, your son is there. I place 2 coins before him, 1 gold, 1 silver, and I ask him, which is more valuable? And every single time, he picks the silver coin." The people laugh. How can the son of the wisest man in the kingdom not know gold is more valuable than silver? The advisor said nothing. He simply bowed and returned home. Part 2. A small box of big wisdom. At home, he sat with his son and asked, "My child, do you know which is more valuable, gold or silver?" The boy looked up, unfazed. "Gold, of course, father." "Then why? Every time the king asks, do you choose silver?" The boy didn't speak. He stood up, took his father by the hand, and led him to a small wooden box in his room. Inside were hundreds of silver coins neatly stacked. "Father," he said, "every time I choose silver, the king laughs and walks away. But the next day he asks me again and I get another silver coin. If I chose gold the first time, he'd stop. So I pretend not to know, and I keep earning silver day after day." The father was silent for a long moment. Then slowly he smiled, softly, proudly, because he realized his son wasn't foolish at all. He was wise in a way most people wouldn't understand. Part 3. The ones they laugh at often see further. The moral of this story is simple yet profound. Just because someone is laughed at doesn't mean they're wrong. Just because someone appears naive doesn't mean they don't understand. The boy made a conscious choice. He could have picked gold and won in front of the crowd, but he chose silver and earned consistently, silently, while letting others laugh. It wasn't about pride. It wasn't about image. It was about strategy. It was about the long game. And true wisdom often plays the long game.
Part 4. Modern Fools with Silent Intelligence. There are people like this boy all around us, even today. The quiet worker in the office who doesn't speak much but always delivers. The student who doesn't raise their hand but aces every exam. The mother who sacrifices silently, never boasting about the weight she carries. A friend of mine used to be called boring at work, too quiet, not outgoing. But he spent his nights learning, upskilling. When a major technical crisis hit the company, he was the only one who could fix it. Today, he's the youngest department head in the company. You see, not all fools are foolish. Sometimes they're just wise enough not to waste energy proving themselves. Part 5. Why we fear being misunderstood. Let's pause and reflect. Why do we fear being seen as naive, dull, or slow? Because society teaches us, if you don't speak up, you're weak. If you don't win every debate, you're dumb. If you don't show off, you're invisible. So we start overperforming, over-explaining, overcompensating, just to be seen as smart enough. But what if the smartest move was to do less? What if the most powerful position was one of quiet clarity, of knowing and not needing to show? Part 6. Value versus vanity. Back to the boy in the story. He wasn't confused about gold or silver. He was clear about something deeper. What truly matters is what you gain in the long run, not what you prove in the moment. Choosing gold might have won applause once. Choosing silver earned him stability for months. Wisdom is often choosing value over vanity. That's something the crowd will never understand. Because the crowd wants a performance, but the wise want a result. Part 7. The Real Fools. Now ask yourself this, who was the real fool in the story? Was it the boy who chose silver, earned every day, and made the king laugh? Or was it the crowd who laughed day after day without realizing they were watching a masterclass in quiet intelligence? We often assume that intelligence comes with loudness, charisma, or dominance. But some of the most brilliant people you'll ever meet are invisible. They don't raise their voices. They don't fight for attention. They let results speak louder than words ever could. Part 8. Final reflection. If you've ever been laughed at, misunderstood, or called foolish for not playing the game like others, remember this. The world often mocks what it does not understand, and many of the wisest people in history were once called mad, stupid, or slow. But in the end, they changed the world, not by arguing, but by staying true to what they knew. The message tells us that when you stop trying to prove your intelligence, you start living with real wisdom. So let them laugh, let them misunderstand. If you're playing the long game with clear values, you don't need applause. You need patience, you need self-trust, and you need to keep going. Don't be afraid to be the fool if it means being free. When you stop trying to prove how smart you are, you start living like a fool. If this story resonates with you or reminds you of something in your own life, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, don't be afraid of being called stupid. Just be afraid of living a life that is not true to yourself.